All right, let's talk money. When I owned my home in Iowa, my real estate property taxes were about $1,500 a year for a home half the size that wasn't on the lake. Now that I own a home in Arkansas on Lake Thunderbird, which is about 2,600 square feet, I still only pay a little bit more in taxes, and mostly due to that lake frontage, not the square footage. So you may be looking at Arkansas because of our low cost of living too. But then you see maybe you buy property and you get your first property tax bill and you're staring at terms like millage rate, assessed value, wondering if you're getting ripped off. But here's the good news. Arkansas actually has one of the lowest effective property tax rates in the US. But if you don't know how the 20% rule works, or if you missed October 15th deadline for paying taxes, you may be leaving money on the table. So today I'm giving you the 2026 cheat sheet to mastering Arkansas property taxes. So first things first, you need to understand how Arkansas calculates what you owe. You don't get taxed on the full market value of your home. Instead, the state uses an assessed value, which is 20% of what your home is worth. So how does it determine what your home is worth? A county-wide appraisal is done, and it depends on which county you're in and what the legislature says, but it's between 3 and 5 years. So like in 2020, when values really shot up, it could have taken 3 to 5 years before you're actually paying taxes on the increased value of your property. So again, ballpark, your house is worth $300,000 according to the county assessor. So that assessed value then at 20% is only $60,000. Now they take that $60,000 and whatever your county millage rate, they multiply that. So basically 1 mil is about $1 of tax from every thousand of dollars that's the assessed value. Since every school district and city sets its own millage, your bill for Cherokee Village is going to look very differently from, say, Bentonville. So the millage rate in Cherokee and Sharp County is 3.8%. But for many years, the school district has been trying to raise that because the majority of that tax goes to the school district and they need things like an auditorium. So just to give you an idea of what to expect for taxes on a property you're purchasing here. Now the best news for 2026 is that if you live in a home that is your primary residence in Arkansas, then you qualify for the Homestead tax credit. For years, this was a couple $100, $350. It did go up to $525, but now this year they've actually got it up to $600. And that's a great deal for a lot of people here. A lot of homes here would be completely wiped out at $600 credit. It's a direct credit, not a deduction like on your income taxes. You get it right off your tax bill. So if your taxes are $1,000, they're going to apply that credit right on your bill of $600 and you'll only owe $400. So if you did only owe $550, your tax bill would be essentially zero. But you have to register for this homestead credit as soon as you buy the property. You got to go to the courthouse, talk to the assessor, say that you're actually living in the home, maybe get your driver's license transferred over, get your vehicles transferred over so you have proof that you're living at the property. You do have to make sure that this is done, and I think that the cutoff is May 31st. Of course, if you buy at the end of the year, I think they'll let you apply it because you're not going to get tax bill until the next year anyway. Now, do make a note that that homestead credit does not apply to the SID assessment. So if your house taxes are only $400 and then you have another $90 in SID, you're still going to have to pay that $90. The homestead credit does not cover it. If you are 65 and older, or if you are disabled, Arkansas has one of the most powerful tax protections in the country. They have an assessment freeze. So basically, once you buy the house and you've got the homestead credit locked in on your house, then that freezes the value of that home. So whenever there's that new assessment that comes around, the countywide appraisal goes around and decides how much value is, and everybody else's taxes goes up, yours do not. You are frozen at that price to keep, as values go up, and there is going to be appreciation, more than likely the value is going to go up, and that means the taxes goes up. So it doesn't mean that they never go up. If they do, for example, change that millage rate, then your taxes are going to go up slightly. But the value of the home is frozen, so that's a huge win for retirees. Now, important to note for buyers that when you're looking at buying property and you see like on the MLS what the taxes are for a property, that's what the seller pays. And there is actually a box that is checked on, can or cannot be checked on the seller disclosure that says where they have it locked in. whether they have that homestead credit, so that you can contact the county office and say, okay, I'm buying this house now. This is how much I'm buying it for. How much are my taxes going to be after I purchase the property, so that you're prepared for that in your budget. But if you're 100% disabled and a veteran, you pay no real estate taxes, no personal property taxes, and you don't pay tax on the benefits that you receive from the veterans. But you have to be homesteaded to also get that credit. So that's why that applying for that homestead credit is so important. So make sure that you get with the county assessor's office as soon as possible after you purchase a home. And if you already own your home, then you should have gotten it yesterday. Something that trips people up moving in from out of state is personal property taxes. In Arkansas, we don't just tax your land, we don't just tax your house, we also tax your stuff. So this is going to be anything that moves: cars, boats, trailers, even some business equipment like my shed out back. So every year between January 1st and May 31st, you have to assess. You have to go into the county office. You can do it online too. But you have to say, okay, I sold this, I bought this, no, nothing's changed, just to let them know what your personal property status is. And this you actually have to do for your vehicles. So before you can even renew the license, get your license sticker for your vehicle, you have to reassess, and then you can get your sticker. Now, if you don't do it by May 31st, you're gonna have to pay a penalty because you didn't assess on time. And if you don't pay for your vehicle on time, then you're gonna be another penalty on that. So you have to make sure that you pay those personal property taxes as well as the real estate taxes. It's all linked up in those receipts, so make sure that you keep that in your files. Now keep a note that you will sometimes see on closing statements. If you are a primary residence, like you have the homestead on your house and you go to sell your house, the title company will pay your personal property taxes. They're like required to do that. So they're gonna pay for everything at closing if you haven't paid it for that year already. So and personal property taxes, they're pretty nominal. Like on my vehicle, the 2018, I think I paid $25. So you do have to also change between counties. Like if you're still within the state of Arkansas and you move from Sharp County even to Fulton County, you're gonna have to change where that's registered, because if you forget, you may owe for Sharp County and Fulton County when you go to register the next year. So don't forget that detail when you get ready to move also. You wanna make sure that you mark your calendar for your Arkansas tax dates. They are pretty strict on their deadlines. The first one is gonna be March 1st. That's when the tax books open and you'll actually receive your bill. You can get it online if you want to, and sometimes it comes out a little bit earlier. Now that with digital things, you can start getting it a little bit before that. Now this is gonna be taxes for the previous year, and you can pay these taxes monthly, you can pay them quarterly, but they prefer you pay them annually. But they do take payments. If you don't have a house payment, that you're paying your taxes or in your escrow every month. So if you sell your house in January or February, the title company is going to hold what they believe the tax bill is going to be, since your taxes will be prorated to the day of the sale. So when the tax book actually opens up and they can pay that, you might get a small refund from the title company if it's less, but that's very unlikely. So just so you know that that's happening, there's an estimate on your closing statement in January and February. And as I said, the tax bill that you're going to get in March is going to be for the previous year. So this is beginning of April. So the tax bill that you got last month in 2026 was for taxes in 2025. You're always paying in arrears, kind of like income taxes. You're filing for 2025 income taxes, even though it's 2026. Now, the part that messes with your mind a little bit more is XID taxes are paid ahead. So when you get your closing statement, you'll see at the top part where you're getting, a seller is getting credits, you're going to get a credit for your assessment because you already paid that the previous year. And on the bottom half, you're getting a debit for the county taxes that you haven't paid yet. It can be very confusing, but just so you know, county taxes are arrears, SID taxes are paid ahead. The next deadline is May 31st. We talked about that. That's when you have to assess your personal property so you don't get a penalty. I believe that's also when you have to file for the homestead credit. Another date that we haven't talked about is mid-August. If you get your tax bill in March and you want to be like, hell no, that's not how much taxes I owe, where did you get that number? Then they have what's called an equalization board, and you can request to meet with them and say, this is why I don't think my house is worth that. You might work with a real estate agent or even the assessor before that you meet with the board to say, how do I get them to find out that this really isn't what my property is worth? So in mid-August they meet, and then you get a chance to argue with them. Now I believe that this equalization board only meets when the taxes are raised. So this year wasn't an assessment year, so we didn't get an increase in our taxes. They were pretty much the same as the previous year. So that's only when your taxes go up, but the county does give you a chance to argue and say, I don't think so. And then October 15th, this is the day that the deadline to pay taxes. Obviously you can start paying them March 1st, but they can't be any later than October 15th. Otherwise they're going to be considered delinquent, and you're going to have to start paying penalties and late fees. Now, if you are a person that owns land here, that you may be aware that if you don't pay taxes, eventually it's going to go back to the county for non-payment of taxes. We found that usually the state takes 3 years to repossess those properties, and that can be a house too, but most houses have mortgages. But if your house doesn't have a mortgage, the same thing's going to happen. So it takes 3 years for the county to take those taxes, the property back for non-payment of taxes, and then the following year they will have an auction, usually in August or September, and they will sell your property at auction for non-payment of taxes. So that is one thing you want to make sure that the county has your current address, your current email address, so that they can get you the bill so you can make sure that you pay it on time and at least that year. Arkansas real estate and income taxes are low to start with, but I've given you a few ways you can save even more with your homestead credit and possibly freezing your taxes. It helps keep our area affordable for many looking for this beautiful place to retire to. Arkansas property taxes are a great deal, but there is one thing that you can double or even triple your expected payment if you aren't careful, especially in retirement communities like Cherokee Village, and that's the Suburban Improvement District. These are a separate assessment which does get charged on your annual tax bill. So if you want to know more about how SID works and why they might be the deciding factor in where you buy your next home, you need to watch my next video right here where I dive deep into the world of Cherokee Village SID. Thanks for watching and have a blessed day.